Live from downtown State College.
Welcome into the Land of Tangwall live call-in Monday night show. This show has taken a life of its own. We have one heck of a time here. The boys are ready to go. We're going to hear Paxton Lynch be mentioned. We're going to drink some Anti-Fragile beer. Thank you to Anti-Fragile for sponsoring the live Monday night call-in show. There it is, the Anti-Fragile Keg Cam. John's been tapping into that one. Ain't that right, producer John?
Been just straight up punching it since Saturday.
Yep. The JP 409 whiskey has remained untouched. You see the shot glasses falling over in the back over there. They were left untouched. We only take them after wins. Oh, man. Let's see. Robert says, I didn't believe Dante Moore was better than Drew. 33 starts versus 5. He is so much better. It's not even close. Time to try Grunk. Oh, boy. Yeah, Dante Moore definitely outplayed Drew Aller. I have Dante Moore, and I said this. I said, look, if he plays very well versus the Jim Knowles defense, which he did, he took the underneath stuff. It wasn't like he had these long passes. He took the underneath stuff, was very efficient, and then when there were big-time throws to be made, he made those throws. So that is that's why I think Dante Moore is the best quarterback in college football right now. I think he deserves that moniker. That is how he's played. He has put very, very little bad football on tape for Oregon. What do we got here? Watch out for Tony Rigatoni. Yes, that is facts. If we hear Tony Rigatoni, John, it's an automatic cutoff.
Mm-hmm.
Are you Landon Tangwall? Maybe. Miss Corey Smith, shout out you. Might need a little bit more Corey Smith in the run game. No more Wildcat, please. Craig, could not agree more on that one, brother. Do not need to see any more Wildcat. I think it's like I said, it's an itch that Kotoniki kind of has to scratch, and we need to just surgically remove that itch from him. It's got to go. We got a caller already. Let's go. What is your name? Where are you calling from?
Hudson Crane from State College.
What's up, brother? What's your question? From the hometown.
Yeah, so I've been looking at the team, and I'm thinking to myself, every single time they come out of a bye, it seems like we don't fix anything in the buys. And I hear about the self-scouting, but as fans, we watch your videos and we look at it ourselves, and we see that Drew Aller's doing better out of the pro style offense, out of the spread offense instead of this option or RPO offense. We could see that as fans, but what's the point of a self scout if they're not scouting? I see Franklin over here going for these little what do you call it? He's going to delis, and Drew Aller's doing this stuff with NIL. Doing advertisements he's posting on his stories, and I'm just thinking to myself, you get ready for this game, it's self-scouting, and they didn't self-scout, so I'm wondering, is this a problem with intellect? Is this, what's the problem here?
Yeah, so, I
feel like this, yeah.
I hear you, brother, I hear you. You do have the questions of the bye week, and I do believe it is a real thing to question, and James Franklin said, look, everything's going to be questioned after you lose. And like you said, you question kind of how you go about the bye week, because it is a thing for Penn State that generally you do not change your attention over. So you finish that game against Villanova and you go into that bye week. You have off Monday like normal, and then you go Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And generally those practices, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday of the bye week, are not tailored around Oregon, that team that you're playing then, at that point, 8 or 9 days from then. You are, as you said, self-scouting, playing against each other, doing 1 versus 1s. That is more what it looks like. And then you finally turn over. As a player, you're studying Oregon. Coaches are looking at Oregon. But as a team, the scout team, normally when you're going into a game week, they wear the jerseys of the opponent. They pretend to be their offense and give you their looks. I don't think you did a lot of that over the bye week. That's something you got to look at going into Ohio State. I think you got to put more preparation on Ohio State, less on looking inward. It took 15 minutes to get going because they didn't play anyone worthy to prepare in the first 3 games. That is a conversation to have. I think it's fair. We have a caller. What is your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, this is Ian Purdy. I'm from Columbus.
What's up, Ian, my man? Big-time supporter. I appreciate you, man. What's your question?
Of course, man. I got I got a long-winded question for you, so stick with me if you could.
Let's do it.
But the question that I have, so I rewatched the game, and I focused on the gimmick plays, as I would say, and the up-tempo plays. I define the gimmick plays as like any extremely uncommon formation or alignment. So things like super wide splits, offensive alignment in motion, tight ends in the backfield, things like that. I also included wildcat snaps in that, and I found that we ran 6 gimmick plays for 8 yards and a false start. And we ran 7 up-tempo plays for 8 yards and another false start. And that comes out to 1.2 yards per play. And all I have to say, it just feels like we waste so many plays and kill so many drives by doing that. And so I'm wondering, like, what's the fix to that? Will we fix it? Can Kotelnicki fix it himself? Like, what needs to be done, and is that a valid take?
Yeah, great job on your research there. Yeah, this year, no trickery play has truly worked for Penn State this year. And I think that you think back to Bo Prabula and that package, Tyler Warren and that package, and it feels good. It feels like you want to get back to that. You do not have the personnel to run that type of scheme anymore. There's no reason to do it just to do it. Now, as you said, I have problems. I have problems with a lot of the play calling. I have problems with 3rd and 9, and you run a quarterback power option. And then you follow that up after you running the quarterback power option on 3rd and 9, and you punt it from the 36-yard line. I don't know how many of you out there are Steelers fans, but that's playing in your fears. Mike Tomlin's been like, we don't play in our fears, and all Mike Tomlin does is play in his fears. That's pretty much how I felt. That's how I felt on Saturday. I'm like, why are we playing in our fears? Lions Scarf said, how did we get manhandled on both the offensive and defensive line? Not going to win many big games if you're pressured on 18 out of 25 dropbacks. That is correct. Thank you so much for the donation. You are right. The offensive line is not good right now. They are simply not good. That is a clear issue. And yes, I agree. You got to talk. It's fair to ask, is the offensive line coaching? Is that the issue? It's clear a lack of intensity, lack of attention to detail. Yes, we have a caller. What is your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, this is John calling from New York City.
What's up, John? What's your question, brother?
So obviously the play calling was really bad, and I see everyone on Twitter blaming some combo of Kotelnicki, Drew, and Franklin. But even with the offensive game plan that bad, we still nearly won, and to me that puts it squarely on Franklin, because we can't even trust him to put the right players to execute this bad game plan. Like, Katron was so obviously better and more consistent running back all season, and he's still splitting carries with Singleton. And how are you not at this point making Allen the feature back? I'm not saying this alone wins us the game, but it probably gets us a couple more first downs and gives the defense a breather. And hey, maybe we stop them on that 4th and 1 in overtime and we win the game.
Yeah, I think that's very valid. You look at Nick Singleton, 11 carries for 21 yards. You can't split that with Katron Allen. You cannot split those carries with Katron Allen. And I realized there were times that the holes weren't there, but you just simply can't. There's no reason why they should be 50-50 on carries. Katron Allen is clearly the better running back than Nick Singleton right now. Nick Singleton is struggling to get going. Obviously, the run game as a whole. Patrick, thank you so much for the donation. He says, Coach was saying that the O at its best when the run is opening up the play action at his press conference today. Why do we find it so difficult for pass to open the run? Yeah, I mean, play action only works if you run the ball well, because it sucks in the linebackers and the safeties, and then you can get kind of over top of them. Listen, someone asked earlier what happened in the run game. Like, we're just getting dominated up front. It is truly that simple that pretty much everybody across the board, if you want me to be honest, like, the only person I would give like a C+ to is Venga Ioane. Everybody else, I mean, they're my guys. You guys know this, but journalistically, I'm very honest, have not been playing well. Simply have not been playing well. Sorry, we just had a caller. If you want to get back on the line, 814-400. We have a caller. What is your name? Where are you calling from?
Hello?
Hello. What is your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, my name's Norman, calling from Archibald, Ohio.
Norman, what is your question, my man?
I'm one of... All right, I got 3 questions. If I can only ask one, I'm listening to you answer one guy right now, and it kind of sounds like what I'm going to ask. That is, does a head coach get on the headphones and tell his coordinators he would like to see something different, a different play, a different scheme?
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely something that can happen. I believe Franklin is the type of coach that would do that. I'll be honest, I don't know how much really changed in those last 2 drives. We had a little bit better of a push on the offensive line, but we kind of willed ourselves. If you think about it, it wasn't that different. Drew Aller had like 3 different plays where he just had to run with his legs because nothing was open in the passing game. The pass protection was a little bit better towards the end of that game. But overall, like it wasn't like the offense, as much as they went back-to-back touchdown drives, you got to give them props, and it was clean. That first one in the fourth quarter was 4 plays. Boom, you hit the deep post for a touchdown to Devontae Ross. But I'll be honest, watching it, and I did the breakdown on the For the Blog YouTube channel, it didn't feel like there was some like revelation that it was like, oh, we turned the corner here. It just kind of felt like, oh, we kind of found a little bit of rhythm, but there was still a lot of missed passes, a lot of miscues in the run game, wide receivers not really creating a lot of separation. I could go on and on. Sorry, did he have another question there?
If I recall, on your post game, as we were driving back to Ohio, I thought you had mentioned that they started to stretch the field. I mean, is that something that Franklin can come along and say, hey, let's stretch the field. Let's try and get outside. We're getting manhandled inside. I'm just trying to figure out, is there something that could be said to change the flow of the game?
Real quick, I got to ask, when did you get back to Ohio from the game?
8:00 Sunday morning. I was supposed to serve communion at church, and I didn't make it, man.
Oh, gosh. I'm so sorry, brother.
We did take a 2-hour nap on the Ohio Turnpike.
Oh,
my son works up at Grand Valley State University, and he had to get back on Sunday. So, if I can throw out 2 more quick questions, and I won't wait. If you answer them, great.
Go for it.
People on the message boards, RPO. The R in RPO does not mean it's the quarterback running. Everybody seems to say, well, you can't run an RPO with Drew Aller. Well, you can, because you're running the fake into the line with a running back and pulling it to throw if the linebacker or the edge rusher has committed and left open a passing lane. Am I right or wrong?
Correct. You were absolutely correct about that. Yes, sir. Yeah. So, go ahead. Last one.
Then the other one would be, I thought you had communicated either on X or on one of your shows that there aren't a ton of adjustments made at halftime. If that's so, and if you didn't make that comment, I apologize.
I did.
But if that's so, doesn't that lend to like doing the same thing and expecting different outcomes?
Yeah. So we'll go through there. Number one, you talked about, stretching the field, taking 45 minutes to stretch the field, not even 50 minutes. I think it was about 10 minutes left in the fourth quarter when we threw the deep pass touchdown to Devontae Ross. You can't wait that long. That needed to be, and I think I put a tweet out. I said I wanted to see Drew Aller look like Joe Flacco 2011. It felt like, I don't know if you watched the AFC North back in the day, it was like first play of every game Joe Flacco aired it out. Like, why not threaten them? Whether you get that shot or not, just throw it deep. Let them know that you might take that shot. The defense was sticky. They were playing up, and there was nothing for Drew Aller. As far as the halftime comment, I'll just tell you, like, that's a whole thing kind of overall in football. There's not much change that is made at halftime at really any level. I don't know. I mean, you look at this offense, and it's head scratching. And honestly, look, it's my fault. I'm sorry that I sold the idea at all that I thought it was just going to kind of turn around after you struggle for 3 weeks, especially as an offensive line and a run game. And, we just think we're going to turn around and be successful against Oregon. And so I saw someone in the comment section just now just say, I thought you said Oregon's defensive line wasn't very good. What happened? Yeah, Northwestern University, their offensive line played a phenomenal game against the Oregon defensive line. Penn State got manhandled. Do with that what you will. Cornwall, can we get him back up there?
You had one first.
Oh,
here.
Paul, thank you. So how to pick up the pieces and even think about the Ohio State, how to fix the dented line, SCO Ducks. Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you for the $5. Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's really a thought in many people's mind that is a game that Penn State truly could win, just because the incompetency of the offense at the moment. You have no identity. James Franklin had kind of admitted that in the press conference, saying, "Hey, he basically said, hey, I thought we were going to be a running team, but we are simply not." Cornwall, I mean this with the utmost respect, so you can't get upset with what I'm about to say. Okay, we'll leave it there. That is the Monday Night Chat, folks. I love you guys. Good God. We have a caller. Thank you for the money, Cornwall. What is your name? Where are you calling from?
Mike from Lebanon.
Mike, what is your question, my man?
I got two questions. They're real quick. Okay, first question. What we saw at the end of that fourth quarter, is that an aberration, or can we build upon that and have future success based off that? Secondly, what, if any, adjustments can be made to the preparation that this team does? Because it seems like they're not doing enough. They talk about all this stuff that's doing in the off season and whatnot, but here we are. They're not doing good on the blocking. They're getting manhandled on the line, and Drew Aller has not been able to make the throws needed. Can this be changed, if at all?
Yeah, so first off, that final drive, the one thing I will say, not to discourage it, and look, they took the deep shot, and that was good. That was a great pass from Drew. It was probably one of Drew Aller's better deep passes in a long time. I will say this, they kind of left the underneath stuff. They let us take kind of what was there. On that first drive, there was one good play where the offensive line really got some movement, but like I said, I did a breakdown of those final 2 touchdown drives over on the For the Blog YouTube channel. There was nothing that I felt that I saw that said, oh, like, we found something there. We turned the corner there. I don't really think so. Like I said, it was a very valiant effort to fight back. If Dante Moore fumbles that ball that he fumbled and doesn't pick it up and it gets kicked and Tony Rojas grabs it, we're having a real different conversation right now. I mean, we still have a lot of things to talk about, but we feel real different. We do not feel different right now. And then to answer your second part of your question, is it fixable right now? Probably not. I don't think you can just fix the passing game. Listen, offensive coordinators, once again, are who they are. We're not going to come out with a new scheme against UCLA. I'm just telling you guys right now, you're going to see what you see. Franklin was actually asked about that really in the press conference. I believe it was T. Frank that brought it up and kind of alluded to the fact, hey, how much can you change in your run game, in your passing game? And Franklin basically not dodged, but he basically said, hey, yeah, we got to be more explosive. We got to have guys that are giving, better effort, all that type of stuff. And so his answer was, we have to execute better, not that we're going to change anything. So, I don't, like I said, I don't expect anything to change. So you got to be more physical. That's number one. We got a caller. What is your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, Mark from Charleston, South Carolina.
Mark, what's up? What's your question, my man?
Yeah, hey, Landon. So I like two things. One thing, quickly, Chaz Coleman, sorry if someone already asked about this. I kind of muted the stream while I was calling in, but Chaz Coleman, where was he? We've been kind of building him up for the first few weeks, expecting him to come in, have a big impact. He just wasn't out there. I saw the snap counts. I think maybe he had 17 snaps, compared to Zariah Fisher, 60 something. So, where was he? We weren't able to pressure the quarterback. I mean, sure, there were these, missed holding calls potentially, but, where was Chaz Coleman? We weren't able to get any sacks that game, any meaningful pressure, just where was he?
Yeah.
And then also, sorry. Another, concern that I feel like I have is that, I feel like James just isn't great at instilling confidence in our players. I look at, Dan Lanning, when he came out on the field, DeCorian Moore was standing right next to him. He was nodding his head. He's like, I'm the man. He seems super confident going to this game. I can't imagine James ever doing that, particularly with a true freshman. I can't imagine ever walking on the field, really trying to get behind this guy and show a lot of confidence in particularly a true freshman at a skill position player. He's always going out there with, the O-lineman, and I get it. It's a very blue collar mindset, which I don't even really like for receivers. I feel like we should embrace, individuality for those players. They should be confident in themselves. They should try to be the man, be the best player on the field. And I feel like we really don't instill that in our players. And I really hope that we're not losing potential superstars and guys like Kobe Howard and even Tyser Denmark, because we're not able to instill confidence in them.
Yeah, so your first part of your question, Chaz Coleman, clearly Franklin wanted to play the more veteran guys. That was my thought process from what I saw from him. I think you saw the holdings, but it's still not an excuse that Dante Moore had way too much pressure. One thing I will tell you, the last people we need to critique is the defense, considering they held the most explosive offense in college football to 17 points in regulation. So, and it really very well should have been probably 10 if that call is not overturned. So that's the last people you need to get at. But 0 sacks is an issue. And I'll tell you, Jim Knowles is a little too stunt happy, meaning those twists where the defensive tackle and the defensive end kind of do a loop. One is a penetrator, one's a looper. It was getting shut down. And my problem is this is the little game plan pieces where it's like, hey, deny Dennis Sutton is better than their left tackle. Zariah Fisher was doing really well against their right tackle. Chaz Coleman as well. Let them straight up pass rush. Why do we need to get into this twist game? It's something that Jim Knowles loved to do at Ohio State and is kind of doing the same thing here. I don't get that. Like I said, I don't want to turn and point fingers at the defense because they really don't deserve it right now. You hold Oregon to 17 points. You should win the football game, but that's a problem. I do not like all the twists and stunts that we were running. It was way too much, and there was too many clean pockets for Dante Moore to sit back there and deliver. It was very different than what the Oregon defense was doing to the Penn State offensive line. As far as the question about the wide receiver O-line thing, I mean, look, yeah, I mean, Franklin's not a big rah-rah motivational guy. He would never give any type of post-game speech like a Dan Lanning or, whatever he's seen from Sharon Moore. I am tired of other coaches crying on our field in a good manner. That's got to stop for us. I'll tell you what. Gosh dang it, we got a caller. What is your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, it's Jay from Atlanta.
Jay, my man, always calling in. Appreciate the support. What is your question, my man?
First off, I want to give Amari Campbell some praise. That dude played his heart out. I know it's all been negative, but he was awesome out there. My question is what is going on? I went back and watched a lot of your breakdowns from last year. It seems like we struggle for years now with picking up stunts and blitzes. I get it's not easy, but you got to think all these guys are experienced players. And the fact that we're still having these issues, I'm not saying you're going to pick everything up, but I mean, we get gashed in stunts all the way back to JTT when he went off and basically beat us himself during the Ohio State game.
Yeah, so I think, it's hard. I mean, I'll tell you, it's something that Trout reps with the guys a lot. And no, you're right. We do struggle at picking up the stunts, the blitzes, the pass protection technique as a whole is not very good right now, and especially on the interior too. I mean, we saw it from Rucci and Shelton, but I saw multiple times Dawkins and Donka letting guys just not even just free, but just getting beat off of the ball. Bear Alexander, Oregon's defensive tackle, number 1, looked like a superstar Saturday night on the tape that I just watched yesterday and this morning. It was by far his best game ever, and once again, Northwestern dominated. I wouldn't say dominated this Oregon defensive line, but took it to them. Took it to them. Had their very much fair share of wins. I would call very few plays on that tape for that Penn State offensive line wins against that Oregon defensive line. For the most part, manhandled. Norman Beck said, thank you for taking my call. How does one donate to your channel? I think there is something. You can donate on YouTube if you'd like, but you don't have to. Really appreciate you, man. Cornwell coming in with another donation. On a real note, I love the fourth quarter effort. Dudes didn't lie down. They gave us hope. How do you think we can utilize that in the future? Yeah, you just got to fight. You got to come out with fire. You saw a little bit of fire. I saw Nick Singleton pancake someone in the run game. I saw Vanga Ioane pancake someone on one of those 2 last drives. We only had 2 drives in the fourth quarter, both touchdowns. Where is that from the beginning? I need someone. They are not having fun. The Penn State offense does not look like they are having fun playing football. It is really, and I think everybody can see that. There's not a single person out there that looks like they're having fun. And Oregon damn sure was having fun. Their offensive tackle, right tackle, Harkey, yeah, he was holding and stuff, but I saw him pancaking, screaming, yelling. Where was that? There's no fire. We got a caller. What is your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Landon, this is Aaron. I'm calling from Lancaster, Pennsylvania.
Aaron, what's up, brother? What's your question?
Hey, man, big fan of the show. I know you just kind of started this thing not too long ago, but, great stuff. And congrats on the engagement.
Thank you so much, brother. I
that.
appreciate you.
No problem. So I was watching your post-game show right after, obviously, the horrifying loss and everything. But the fact that, you're talking about how, Mike Yurcich comes from the Big 12, and then you have, Andy Kotelicki coming from the Big 12. Why do you think they've gone this route? And, is that more the reason to blame Franklin that, these hires are happening? That's really my biggest question. But, I could critique everything from the game, but, that kind of goes without saying. But
yeah, I mean, look, they have not, frankly, they have not been good offensive coordinators. We know what Mike Yurcich was. I played under him. That was not a good offense. And speaking of Kotelnicki, shout out Tyler Donahue, good friend of the program over there in Lions 24/7, put out a tweet just a little bit ago. He said, Drew Aller did not reach 250 passing yards in any of the last 14 games. I gave you guys that stat earlier this week. The last one was USC, where he went over 250 yards, and has not eclipsed 250 passing yards in 18 out of his 20 games. The only 2 games that Drew Aller went over 250 passing yards, last year against USC and last year against Big Whoop Kent State. Now, interesting here, during Kotelnicki's last 2 seasons at Kansas, where he was the offensive coordinator in 2022 and 2023, his quarterbacks combined for 12 games over 250 passing yards, and they had 3 games over 400 passing yards. Now, I realize that is the Big 12, and we are in the Big 10. I don't know. It's not good. There is a clear disconnect. I think there is more things than just one to point at as far as the issues. But yes, Drew Aller is inaccurate. He is not confident. Andy Kotelnicki is not calling good plays. It is vanilla, bland passing schemes. It is generally the same thing over and over. The interception at the end, I will tell you, that play model, that play style where we have something from the backfield going out into the flats and you run a streak and a wheel route and something coming across the middle, we did that probably about 8 or 9 times in that game. And it was a play that we ran all last year. So Thieneman, their safety, said, yeah, I've seen it on tape, watched it a ton. We were ready for it. We figured it was coming. They were setting it up, and we were ready for it. That's disheartening. That is sad. Penn State is not in a good place offensively, and you have this, what you think is an identity to be able to run the ball at least, and you don't have that. The offensive line has to take a long look in the mirror. Someone earlier did mention, do you think about shuffling them around? Johnny, thank you for the $5. He is expressing his unhappiness with Andy Kotelnicki and Marcus Hagans. Yes, TC for life. Thank you, brother. We got a caller. What is your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Landon, it's Jake from Chicago. How you doing?
What's up, brother? Doing well. Not really, but what's your question?
I get you, man. I want to talk about Drew Aller. I know we've been hitting on him for a while here, but I want to talk about not necessarily the physical part of it or even the mental part of it, but just the confidence level he can go into, the rest of the season, even the next game and the rest of the season, because I know you quoted it, sometime earlier this week, but 50% of it is confidence. If you know you're going to beat that guy across from you, you already got the game going. So how does he prepare this week? All these people on Twitter or TikTok saying he should work at McDonald's or whatnot, but so how does he go here from now on, just purely confidence level?
I'll tell you, I feel for Drew Aller. I don't feel for his wallet, and this is something that I used to be in agreement with they are just kids when they were not being paid. And I said, they just play for the program. They're just here to go to school, and that is it. The moment that you start making anywhere from 5 to 30 times the amount of the average American, you're free reign. And I still feel like it sucks that Drew Aller has to go through that. There's zero chance that he can show his face anywhere around State College right now, nor would he want to. He even goes on social media, and he's seeing fake DMs of himself to someone else, and that is... producer John's laughing because I think he's probably even seen it.
I wrote those.
Yeah, John. If you have not seen them, don't look them up.
Come get it. No, I'm.
Oh boy,
it's pretty honestly a miserable thing to do.
Yeah, did you see it?
Yeah, I did.
You saw what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I mean, the fact that you're not saying what it is makes me feel like yes, I saw what.
Yes, yes. Drew's getting it rough on social media. Number one, he needs to be off social media.
True.
It is not a place you want to be. It is okay to have a social media, but you just got to get off of there. There's no question about it. After a game like that, you need to delete it for right now. Zach said, is the 1-0 mindset any reason to why there's a lack of intensity in the big games? I don't understand how a coach can prepare for a team like Oregon and Nevada the same. Valid question. Thank you for the donation, Zach. Very, very valid question. It is good. I guess the question is, and how Franklin kind of totes it, is that, hey, we never lose the small games because we take them all at the same clip. But to your point then, you never win the big one either. That's an interesting one. Never thought of it like that. I don't know. That's a good one. Chat is getting out of control already. Holy hell. Chris says, for the next year, do we know if Grunk fits Kotelnicki's offense better than Aller? Hope of recruiting to match this offense better. Look, number one, I do not think Kotelnicki will be the offensive coordinator here next year, no matter what. I didn't think at the beginning of the year, I didn't think he was going to be here. He was this close to leaving for that West Virginia head coaching job. Rich Rod took it. But, I mean, I don't think he's going to be here. Why would we re-sign him? Definitely not. Johnny Rocket says, Venmo rented out champs for a sponsorship with Drew this weekend. They should ask for their money back. Oh, boy. We have a caller. Good God. I love
should ask for him to Venmo it back.
How much do you think he got? What is your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Landon. This is Martin calling from New York.
Martin, what is your question? I'm doing well, brother. Appreciate you.
Yeah, I just got a few things wanted to say. Want to hear about your thoughts. So I was at the Whiteout game Saturday. It was just so frustrating that we lost that game. When I was at the game, I think a lot of the crowd, like including me, I guess, wasn't really happy about the play call before fourth quarter, and we were like really confused with the play call, right? And after that game, I was just thinking that I think we already developed a formula to lose in this kind of game. Like, I feel like our play calling was very, very conservative at first, right? We wasn't really getting any first down, and like every big game, I just feel like our defense is on the field most of the time, like 75% of the time, right?
Right.
And our offense, because they couldn't get first down, they just keep sitting on the bench. I think they just, besides play calling, they were underperforming because they're not in the rhythm of the game,
Yeah, no, there's clearly there is a lack of rhythm. There's a lack of intensity. I don't. There's no fire though. I've talked about it, and I don't know where it comes from. Knowing the squad, I don't know if there is someone right now on the offense that can light a fire under the offense. I don't know who that person is, but it needs to happen. There needs to be someone screaming, yelling, getting angry. I don't know. I really don't. Lion Scarf said, still don't know how AJ Harris didn't pick that ball. I know exactly which one you're talking about. I posted that on Twitter, a screenshot of the ball hitting him in the hands, and Decorian Moore still caught that. Yeah, that pretty much summed up how our night went. Yes, we have a caller. What is your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, my name is James.
James,
and I'm calling from State College, Pennsylvania.
Hometown, here we go. What is your question, brother?
So I've heard you talk a lot about the Big 12, and even you got a question earlier about how Kotelnicki and our offensive coordinator before him came from the Big 12. I'm wondering, is there any kind of transferable strategy that Kotelnicki can bring to the Big 10 that'll help Penn State's offense do better in big games?
Yeah, I don't really think so. I mean, look, here's the difference when you guys, these Big 12 offenses, you do not have the talent that you have in a Big 10 or SEC offense. So you resort to gimmicky plays. And especially when you have it wasn't bad when you have a backup quarterback that is in a pretty good shape to do those gimmicky plays. I still thought Bo Pabula was put in bad situations because he is just coming in out of nowhere, gets one play, and if it goes bad, you don't see him again for 2 quarters. So last year, I didn't think that was great, but Tyler Warren, yeah, there was some success with that Wildcat package. But now you come into this year and you force it. And I think that is the issue. You do not have the personnel to run anything Wildcat-wise. Also, I truly, truly cannot fathom getting on that headset and physically muttering whatever the call is to put Katron Allen at quarterback with 5 minutes left to go in the fourth quarter in a top 6 matchup on the opponent's side of the field on 2nd and 7. I truly cannot. I when I saw that, someone, the first comment on my post-game show was somebody needs to buy Nick Dawkins a drink for making sure he did not snap the ball on that Wildcat play. I mean, really, I cannot believe that was actually called. Truly horrific. Maybe a silly question, but how hype is the pregame locker room under Franklin like compared to those Lee Kirby smart speeches, etc.? Thank you for the donation. No, James Franklin has always said he's not a big pregame speech guy. There's not a big speech. There is someone kind of just says the prayer. You get slight hype up from normally one of the strength coaches, kind of Chuck Losey, Coach Earl's our guy. One of them steps up and gives that speech, but that's really about it. It's not a ton of hoorah, hype up stuff. Hander says this may be an extreme way of thinking or not, but what are the chances Coach James Franklin's time is coming to an end? Thank you for the donation. Once again, Coach James Franklin will be the head coach here until he does not want to be the head coach here. I've been very clear about that. He will not be fired by this administration. I'm telling you that right now. I can promise you that. So whether you like that, whether you don't like that, that is the facts. We have a caller. What is your name? Where are you calling from? Hello. What is your name? Where are you calling from?
DJ York, PA.
DJ, what is your question, my man?
I got a couple things. One, is there any chance that we reshuffle the O-line? It seems outside of Vega, and maybe you could make the argument of Drew Shelton playing well, but it seems Dunko's not playing great at right guard, and he might be better at tackle. And it seems that, I don't know, he hasn't played much, but it seems like Cooper Cousins has to be better than Nick Dawkins.
Right. So how I feel about that right now, there probably has to be a change. There does. It's hard. So here's my question, and this is what I found this very interesting. No one has talked about this up to this point. I wanted to save this for this show to kind of throw at you guys. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Donko goes down with a knee injury, which, by the way, does not look healthy at all. It does not look like he's at full strength. He is not confident in his knees. TJ Shanahan came in at right guard. The whole competition at right guard was between Cooper Cousins and Anthony Donko. And now Donko goes down and TJ Shanahan comes in at right guard. I guess, is there something to be worried about with Cooper Cousins and his development and where he is going? I don't know. I think that's something. When he did get in early in the season, he was kind of rough in pass protection. But I don't know. Maybe you put him at center. Maybe you try to move that around. But I thought that was interesting that TJ Shanahan came in over Cooper Cousins. I don't know if that is a testament to TJ Shanahan playing just better and looking better in practice, or that is Cooper Cousins not, performing up to his ability. Oh boy. Yeah. Here we go. I got some copium I'm going to throw out for you guys. For my older folk, copium, a.k.a. cope. I don't know. I don't even know. What's cope short form for, John?
That is a word, meathead.
Just cope? That's it? Yeah, see, that's why I have 7 concussions.
Sometimes. And you can take these things called letters, and you can put several of them in a row. And it makes this thing called a word.
And it means something. Crypto Ducat says, we have not beat a top 10 team without, in a whiteout since 2016. James Franklin works fans into a frenzy leading up to the game. Nothing changes. Same fireworks, music, video highlights, same results against top 10 teams. Whiteout is growing tired. Thank you for the $20 donation. A little bit. You're not all the way wrong there. I'll tell you what. I appreciate that donation, brother. It is. We need to win one. We need to win a big whiteout. John says, I'm not going to let a few losses define my career. Franklin, I feel like this is already the definition of the career and has done nothing. Yeah, look, I mean, as much as Franklin did say that today's press conference, that he was not going to let that define his career, he did admit after the postgame that it's no longer a narrative or just an idea, that it is factual, that basically he cannot win the big game. He basically admitted to the big game James moniker, and he can't not say it's not real, because it is. It truly is. I don't know. It's different players every time. It's different coordinators. I mean, it's been since 2017. Nobody on this roster. There's very few. I think Terry Smith. I think that's it. I think Terry Smith might be the only coach. Am I missing one other one? Terry Smith is the only coach on this roster that was here in 2017. Obviously not a player. So, yeah. Sorry, I missed one more donation.
You actually had two there.
We had two. Thank you, guys. Thank you. I really appreciate you guys. I'll tell you what.
Know what? We got that.
We got John.
Oh, it's on a 20-second delay. Dang it, I clicked the wrong one.
John, what are you doing? Anyways, wait, real quick. I'm going to throw some cope over at you guys. I guess if our two losses could be, you beat Indiana, you beat everybody else, and your two losses, Oregon and Ohio State went out, they're 1-2. Your two losses are 1-2. That's not a bad loss resume. Yes, I am throwing out cope. I am not being serious right now. Donors need to buck up and buy Coach James Franklin out for Kurt Signetti. Dude refuses to play Grunk, Howard, Wallace, among others, 4-21. Insanity. Enough is enough. Mr. Sauce, thank you for the donation. Tell him how you really feel, brother. Ronald, thank you for the $10 donation. He says, do you think the preseason hype affected the team's mental preparation and led to some overcoaching? Yeah, it feels like there's almost this don't mess up kind of mentality, and it's you're not playing loose, you're not having fun. I don't know if NIL plays into the factor. I don't know if there's some satisfaction. I don't know. And when I was on the team, we weren't making that much money. We were making less than the average American. I will tell you that when I was on the team, and very quickly those numbers changed, and I am sad about it. Yes, now I am a YouTuber. Look at me go. We have a caller. What is your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, I'm Jacob calling from Harrisburg, PA.
Jacob, what's your question, my man?
Hey, Landon, big fan of the show. I actually got two quick questions for you. I was a big fan of these three receivers coming in through the portal, and I think they have all shown flashes in a couple different games this season. But why do you think we can't get elite-level production like other teams where Keandre Lambert-Smith and Trey Wallace are transferring to and, end up being stars for those teams? And also, what do you think was up with the offensive line through the first three quarters in that game that was so dominant last year? They just don't seem like they're gelling very well.
Yeah, so obviously I gave you the stat earlier. 20 games under Kotelnicki, Drew Aller's only passed for 250 yards 2 times. It is clear that we do not have a good passing offense. The passing schemes are not good. Just that simple. Like I'm just telling you guys, watching it on the All-20, like it is bland, it is vanilla. There's no routes that like kind of conflict the defense. Let's put it that way. It's a ton of like, a curl route here, like a corner route over here. There's nothing like guys crossing. Hey, let's try to run some rub routes. Let's try to, confuse these defensive backs. Let's get them off of each other. There was none of it. It was incredibly bland. It is the same concepts. Drew Aller clearly does not have confidence in the offense, does not have confidence in himself for that reason, and no one, once again, is enjoying playing football for the Penn State offense. That's kind of how I feel. I forget what the second part was about the offensive line, but yeah, I mean, they're not good right now. It's just that simple. I am looking, on PFF. I don't always go by PFF, but out of the 3 lowest rated players on PFF for Penn State's offense, third to last, Nolan Rucci, second to last, Kyron Hudson, dead last, Nick Dawkins in terms of performance. Not good. Cornwall, do you think John Tafer from Bar Rescue could save this offense? Cornwall, we can always count on you for a little.
I don't know what that is.
You never seen Bar Rescue?
Mm-mm.
It's pretty funny. It's a good one. They go in, and he's sitting there. He's like on the microphone. They got like hidden cameras, and they're like looking around the bars, and they're like doing disgusting things around the bar. And he's like, "Oh my god!" And then he goes in and just starts like yelling at the people at the bar. It's kind of funny, John. We'll put it on the studio for you soon.
Maybe I was inadvertently on this show.
You probably were. You worked in a couple.
Not in the right way. You do have a call.
Yes, we have a caller. What is your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Landon. This is Alex calling from New York.
Alex, what's your question, my man?
Well, first of all, I just want to say congrats on the engagement, you and Sarah. That's awesome.
Appreciate you, brother.
And
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Congrats, man. I just want to say that do you think that, well, one, we know the team, they're not winning the Big Ten. They're not beating Columbus. They're not beating Ohio State and Columbus with this offense. So expectations for the season are kind of done. Do you see Franklin and Penn State taking a different approach to the QB position in the portal? I feel like we've seen a lot of really good teams that, and now they're playing with the, like, good NIL money, maybe trying to go and get established QBs each year that kind of raise the floor of the team, like what Oregon did with Nix, Gabriel, Dante Moore. Do you kind of see Penn State maybe taking that approach instead of just sticking with the guys they've recruited?
Yeah.
I kind of want to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, I think you're going to go ahead and you're going to bring someone in because Jackson Smolik is not going to stay. You have to bring in. So James Franklin is the only, Penn State, I should say, is the only team in the Big Ten to not bring in a transfer portal quarterback. And obviously you really haven't needed to because you had Sean Clifford and then you went right from Sean Clifford into Drew Aller. So there was not a true need to do that. You are going to bring one in. You're going to probably bring in some type of veteran starter at a lower level MAC kind of school that has done well and allow him to compete with Ethan Grunkemeyer. Of course, John put that up.
I respect that comment.
Oh, you guys are funny. But yeah, I mean, no, we're going to bring in a transfer portal quarterback. I mean, 100%. I would like to see him. And if you want to go the route, yeah, bring in a dual threat. Bring in some. It doesn't even need to be a dual threat. Bring in a Dante Moore type, and that's easy to say when I just said he's the number one quarterback in college football. Yeah, I'd love to bring that guy in. But it's different every year. You got 4 or 5 different offensive coordinators, and I mean, Sean Clifford obviously had his moments. Trace McSorley had his moments. But I don't know. Quarterbacks, like I've always kind of said, you don't really come to Penn State to play quarterback. I don't know if that's like disrespectful to say, but that's kind of what it's felt like since basically like Kerry Collins. Obviously, you've had a 5-star Hackenberg commit. You had Drew Aller. But quarterbacks don't find a ton of success here at Penn State. We got a caller. What is your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Landon. How are you this evening?
Not good, brother, but what is your question? I appreciate you.
First of all, I love the show. My name's Noah. I'm from State College. I'm not going to lie. If you'd mind, I might rant for a minute here about the program.
Oh, boy. Here we go.
I was born an hour from here and in 2001. And ever since I've been young, I grew up diehard Penn State fan. And I've expected to compete for national championships. I know we really have the last 25 years, but if you look at Joe's track record, he was playing for one about every 4 years in his prime. Now, he didn't always win, but he expected to compete. Saturday night, I completely lost that expectation.
Really? You just lost that, brother. You just lost the expectation there.
I know, right? I just lost it.
You lasted a lot longer than all of us. You lasted a lot longer.
I know, right? And it really, I sat on the 45-yard line right behind Oregon's bench, and Dan Lanning expects to win. I didn't see that from us.
Yeah, no.
I didn't see the killer instinct. It's not at Penn State with this guy as a coach.
I'm with you, brother. It is rough. I just want to say real quick, thank you, Miss Patty Clark, big-time supporter of the program here. Really appreciate the donation. Thank you so much. Real quick, before we get to him, after this, throw up the other question. So I see a Trace McSorley question. Yeah, I don't blame you. I think a lot of people are with you there, brother, checking out a little bit. I am curious. I mean, I don't think it's going to affect attendance, really. I don't think that'll happen. I think people will still go to their season tickets and enjoy them some tailgating and whatnot. James, thank you for the $10 donation, my man. He says, hey, Landon, do you think Penn State has a talent development assessment issue? Feels like we haven't had one solid one since McSorley. Even before that, position's been shaky. Yeah, McSorley was a straight-up baller. Yeah, I mean, it's a fair question. It would be a fair conclusion to say probably. And it does feel like, as a whole, that everybody does like better in the NFL. Doesn't it feel like that? We have so many guys that go on to perform better in the NFL than they were in college. And
let's not think about that too hard.
Yeah, you're right, John. Sorry. We got a caller. Sorry, we got people saying. Someone said, does Trace have eligibility? Sneak him in the 15. What is your name? Where are you calling from?
What's up? This is Sean from Philadelphia.
Sean, what's your question, my man?
So I know you're talking about wide receivers a little bit earlier, but I haven't really heard a ton about Kyron Hudson. He had a few targets, but 0 catches. And after that Nevada game, I really was starting to think back to Harrison Wallace in the West Virginia game. I mean, he had 2 touchdowns, like 140 yards. And I was really comparing that to Kyron Hudson in the Nevada game. He had 90 yards and a touchdown. He looked really good. And I just was wondering, where was he on Saturday? I mean, he had no catches. Was it no separation or just really bad play calling?
Yeah, there wasn't much separation at all. I'll tell you what, Kyron Hudson as a route runner is not very good. I'm gonna be real with you guys. He needs a little bit of space, and he has great hands. That's still a thing. Under 3% career drop rate. Although I don't know, actually. Did he have something that hit his hands recently? He might be over that now. But he is very short hands. But no, there's not a lot of separation. Kyron Hudson is not a route runner, doesn't have the speed. He is just someone, if you get him in space and a little bit of contact, he can go up and make those catches. But I'll tell you, Oregon was sticking to him. I don't even know what analogy I want to use. They were absolutely dominating us as far as the Oregon DBs. I don't think we didn't complete a single pass on their cornerbacks. That deep pass, the touchdown to Devontae Ross in the deep post was one of their safeties. Their cornerbacks locked us up. Shout out Chris Buchanani. Yeah, little program. Couple other things, but we saw some things earlier. Someone mentioned Frank Leonard. If you do not know, Frank Leonard was the assistant offensive line coach basically my entire time here. Old Italian guy that would scream, turn you up, then come over and kiss you on the head like an Italian uncle. I think you do miss him a little bit. I'll tell you, he brought fire to the offensive line room. He was also staying with Franklin in his garage, and he would drive home, let's get vertical, let's get downhill, physical. He would scream that all the time. I'm just saying, I'm generally, you do not miss an assistant of anything when they're assistant, not even just a position coach, but an assistant. I think you miss a little bit of that fire from Frank Leonard, if you want me to be honest. He was kind of the backbone of that offensive line room. It was amazing to have him in there, have great perspective, coach with Bill Belichick, all of those things. I think you do miss him a little bit. That's been floated out there by some people. But Mark says, I'm going to do a line of cope. I think we all need a line of cope at this point. Yes, what is your name? Oh, here we go. Sorry.
I haven't picked it up yet.
Oh,
you ready?
Jump in the gun. Here we go. What is your name? Where are you calling from?
Yep. Pittsburgh.
My man, what is your question?
My question is, for those of us fans who didn't play or are not a coach at the highest level, when we saw the consistency or the lack of consistency, I should say, with the offense through the first 3 games, I was at 2 of the games, and I just saw no rhythm, no anything about that offense given the competition. Is it crazy that we saw what we saw and we were very worried, and then that thing that we were so worried about literally showed up against Oregon? And why does the coaching staff not see that, or do they, and there's just nothing they can do? But it just seems shocking to fans like us, given the cost of the roster, given all the resources that were poured into this team, that you saw what you saw in those first 3 games, and then it showed up after a bye week against the team that you knew you had to beat.
Yeah, I think it's
dumbfounding.
Yeah, so I think it was kind of naive of us, and I'll take some blame here. I wanted to be optimistic. I'll take some blame for thinking that we were going to look bad on offense for 3 weeks against slappy programs. Call them slappies, short for slap D. That's what we say in football. If you got, John, you're laughing a little bit. I don't know. I try to keep this PG-13. I don't think I can say the D word, but we'll just leave it at that. You guys understand what I'm saying. You underperform against 3 slappy programs. Why did you think we were going to come out and the offensive line was magically going to turn it on? That Nick Singleton was magically going to be back to his 2024 form? That Drew Aller was going to be able to pass the ball well? That the wide receivers were going to be able to create separation? I don't know why we thought it. We were fooled. I'm sorry. I don't know what else to say, guys. I'm sad. Listen, can we turn it all around, though? I don't know. Maybe. Lenker. Wait. Sorry. Lost it. I appreciate, what do you say, Candid?
Why don't you do Cornwell real quick?
Oh, here we go. Landon, can we get
though.
James Franklin on the smelling salts that Dan Lanning was on during the game? Dude looked like he could dominate the house. Smelling salts, whatever, lines of copium, whatever it was. He was turned up. I'll give it to Dan Lanning. Dan Lanning is someone I want to play for. I will say that. You'd want to go out there for. I
was for it.
Type of guy I'd take a bullet for. That's what it looked like. It looks like the players freaking love him. Cliff QBR I mean, yeah, obviously. Yeah, I mean, look. Yeah,
got this previous one coming up.
It is interesting.
Oh, here we go. Lanker.
Lanker. I appreciate your. Am I bad at English, or is candor? Is that a word?
You should know that one.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Guys, I'm so sorry. This is why I'm a broadcast journalist.
Didn't the kid that they paid to take your test for you ever teach you that word?
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. 7 concussions later, I guess I forgot the word. Regarding the offense, is there a way to fix it midseason? Are we resigned to riding? Lost you, John. Sorry.
Are we resigned to riding this train that is off the tracks?
To a degree, probably. You got to get back on track against UCLA. UCLA is probably worse than Nevada and FIU. I'm going to be so real with you. That might be a slight exaggeration. Probably not, though. Probably not. We better turn it up. This offense better seriously come with something extra against UCLA on a short week. You're going to travel out to Cali on a Thursday. You got to turn it on. What is your question? Once again, jump the gun a little bit early, John. I'm sorry.
You zoning.
Here we go.
All right, you ready?
We're ready. What is your name? Where are you calling from?
My name is Ryan. I'm calling from Los Angeles.
Ryan. Oh, here we come. We're coming out to you this week, buddy. It's go time. What is your question, my man?
First and foremost, it's great seeing you do what you do. I remember following you in recruiting, and to see what you're doing, you're becoming like the voice of Penn State fans, so it's awesome. But my question, or my concern is like, I think these big games are coming down to the players and making just one play. That bootleg play where Dante Moore had, and Dennis Sutton had a free run at him. He makes that tackle, the game's over, and all of these conversations are very different. Or last year against Ohio State, Igbenogson had that crazy pick, or Tyler Warren couldn't get in from the one. Like, these games come down to the players making plays in very important moments. And I believe with how terrible we looked in that game, for us to even be close to winning, it gives me some optimism, to be honest. And with how painful the Notre Dame loss is, it doesn't compare to that. Like, the Oregon game was obviously painful, but at the end of the day, our season is still entirely alive.
Yeah.
So I know. Of course, Franklin is losing these big games. So what are your thoughts on just coming down to one play and the guys?
Yeah, look, that's a real thing. You gotta execute when the time is there, and you're right. It feels like game after game after game, the better teams just make one more play than us, and you are right about that. There are those moments. Dante Moore extending the play, finding time, hitting his guys in stride. And you can't always go back. Look, I mean, Franklin, you could use the talent excuse for a while there. You have the more talented team. You are the senior-laden team. You have it all. You have the highest-paid coordinators. You have everything that you need. There's no excuse that you should not be the one making the play, that your wide receiver should not be the one making the play, your quarterback that you come into every game thinking should make the play. $10 donation from my man DG. Much love, brother. The worst thing to happen to Penn State was Ohio State choking to Michigan, got PSU into the Big Ten title game with the SMU, Boise State, and college football playoffs, created unrealistic expectations for a team losing Carter and Warren. Oh, yeah, look, I mean, I've talked about this. I appreciate you again, DG. Yeah, those weren't good wins. Those, I mean, you call them good. They weren't great wins. Boise State and SMU, no matter how you even rank them, SMU obviously wasn't. Boise State's not a top 10 team. That is fake. Yeah, I would have liked to beat a real team. Yeah, I don't know where you go from here. Still haven't had a big win. I can't classify Utah Rose Bowl as a big win. I mean, you can. You only went to the Rose Bowl because Michigan and Ohio State were both in the 4-team playoff that year. And Chris Buchanani put this best, host of the obligatory show, good friend of the program. He said, you go to a bar in Georgia or Alabama or anywhere, and they're talking about big wins. As a Penn State fan, anybody that wants to claim that those wins were good, do you actually feel comfortable going up to Ohio State fan, Georgia, Alabama, any of them, and say, oh yeah, we beat Utah and SMU and Boise State? You're getting laughed at. It's not the same thing. It's not even close. 2016 was the last big win. It is frustrating. Sorry, do we have a donation that I missed?
You did.
Someone telling us to bet. Yeah, Johnny Rocket says UCLA first half money line. This team will be sleepwalking like every Franklin OC coach team off of a bye. When is the hockey pod starting up?
Ooh,
sounds good. I'm definitely gonna get Godowski on. He's another good friend of the program for sure.
Don't you have an interview with him up on your channel somewhere?
I definitely do, but we're gonna get him back on. I'll get him in here. I was just texting with him the other night. Now that's a guy right there. Love me some Godowski. That's a dude. All right, what else do we got in here? I'll tell you what. Do you think getting punched in the mouth like that on Saturday will finally light the fire you said was missing? Think there's a shot we put up numbers we haven't seen yet? Austin said that. Someone said earlier in the chat, like it was like 2 minutes ago, I forget who said it. He said, funny thinking that this is going to be any different against UCLA. Oh my God. He's not wrong. He's not wrong, dude. He's not wrong at all. How can I think it's any different? How can I expect anything different than what we have seen? Oh, boy. Wrestling schedule's out today. That's big time. There we go. Let's get some W's there. Penn State doesn't have portal QB money. Well, I don't know. When you get ready, you're paying a lot of guys a lot of big-time money. So, OP says, how do you donate to the show? I believe you scroll down on, you just look at, if you're on YouTube, you can, there gives you kind of, you get some options there. You don't have to, though.
For super chats, yes.
Yeah,
I don't know if you set up like direct donations or not. Did you? You have memberships?
No, I think it's just super chats, but don't feel like you need to. I appreciate you guys. You guys tuning in, supporting me has been enough. I will tell you, I'm sorry, guys, but we're keeping all the Penn State. We're not losing any Penn State videos or anything per week, but I am going to start to do some more Big Ten coverage. We are going to see Big Ten Game of the Week from me. I am going to try to cover more and more of the Big Ten. I think that is the next step. I think the Big Ten is really lacking in coverage. Love my guy Jake Butt over at the Big Ten Network. Big Ten Network is behind the SEC Network, let's put it that way, and the other SEC Network called ESPN. And so that is my goal to start to provide the best Big Ten coverage that there is. So that is kind of my goal here, and we continue to build that thing out. Obviously, Penn State is still the main thing, but we were going to do more and more of that, and I really appreciate you guys all supporting me. Obviously, really only in year technically 2, but we're only like a year and a half into this thing. Franklin Fanatics is good. I'd rather watch other Big Ten teams. So we'll get some coverage on Oregon, Indiana. Big Ten this week kind of sucks, but like I said, I'll start putting out some other stuff. But we will not be taking away any Penn State content there. He says, please cover Oregon. Yes, I will do. I will cover more Oregon. Don't worry about that. You will see a ton of Oregon, Indiana, because that's going to be basically a top 10 matchup next week. Well, not this coming week, the week after. Oregon's on a bye week this week. He says, who offense has been worse, Yursich or AK? I don't know. That's kind of hard. I don't know where you go there. I think Yursich is not. Yursich is a worse offense coordinator, I think. I don't know. Guys, I appreciate you. It is 8:32. It is a rough one tomorrow. Corey, last thing here, $5 donation. I appreciate you. Why has the mentality of the O-line changed so much from last year? We miss Frank Leonard. How do we get back to playing inspired offense again? You run the ball. You have an offensive line that dominates, and you feel confident in your run game. That's how you do it. Why has the mentality changed? I don't know. There's a variety of different reasons, but they are playing uninspired. They are playing like they do not want to bury guys in the ground, and they are playing the lack of confidence as a whole. That is what it is. So that is everything. Appreciate you guys so much. You guys are all amazing. Tomorrow, I can't believe I got to do it, but we're going to do a UCLA kind of preview. I'm just going to kind of talk through UCLA, their entire team, and just give you a rundown on them. It's kind of hilarious what's happening over there. They might even have some players like in the portal this week. Their players can leave right now. It's a whole mess, but I'll give you a preview on that so you guys can look forward to this weekend. Hopefully Penn State takes care of some good business out in UCLA. I believe they are going to be leaving on Thursday, so it should be a good one. Appreciate you guys. If I did not get to your call, we will have plenty more call-ins. Everything's basically a call-in now. Pre-game live show Saturday, post-game live show Saturday, post-game live call-in Monday night show. All of it is all live calling because I love talking to you guys. I love hearing from you. You guys are the best. Much love. Appreciate you guys. Until tomorrow, like, comment, subscribe. Peace.